2 in the morning. February 22nd, 2026. A moonless night blankets the highlands of Tapalpa, Jalisco. Down below, a ghost who has haunted two nations for over a decade thinks he's safe. He's wrong. An elite team of Mexican special forces, guided by an eye in the sky, is about to drop in on the most powerful narco-trafficker on the planet. For years, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, El Mencho, was a phantom, a name whispered in fear, the undisputed king of a multi-billion-dollar narco empire. But tonight, his final 12 minutes are starting. This is the inside story of the lightning-fast raid that brought that empire crashing down. Before the raid, before the final firefight, there was just the legend of El Mencho. To get why these 12 minutes mattered so much, you have to understand the man they were hunting. Born into poverty in Michoacan in 1966, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes wasn't exactly destined for power. He was a farmer, an illegal immigrant busted for selling heroin in California, and eventually a local cop back in Mexico. But a potent mix of ambition, ruthlessness, and a real talent for violence sent him down a very different path. When the old Milenio cartel fell apart, El Mencho co-founded the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, or CJNG, around 2009. In the bloody world of Mexican narco-politics, the CJNG was different. It wasn't just a cartel, it was a paramilitary force. Their calling card wasn't just murder, but massacres. They used military-grade gear, from rocket-propelled grenades that took down army helicopters to weaponized drones. For them, violence wasn't just a tool, it was a message, a declaration of power meant to terrify rivals and the state itself. Under El Mencho's command, the CJNG swelled into a global criminal machine. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration saw it as every bit as powerful as the infamous Sinaloa cartel, with a footprint in nearly every U.S. state, flooding the streets with fentanyl, meth, cocaine, and heroin. El Mencho became a phantom king. His face was rarely seen, his location a total mystery. Many of his own people had never even met him. He was a ghost with a $15 million American bounty on his head, and the most wanted man in Mexico. Taking him down was seen as next to impossible. For over a decade, he outsmarted, outfought, and outmaneuvered every attempt to bring him in. He was a master of evasion, protected by a fanatically loyal security detail and a web of corrupt officials. He seemed untouchable, but every ghost leaves a trail. So what changed? After years of close calls, why did the clock suddenly start ticking on El Mencho? It came down to a perfect storm of intelligence, political will, and a single human mistake. For months, the United States had been cranking up the pressure on Mexico to go after the cartels fueling the fentanyl crisis. But the real breakthrough was a bit more direct. The operation was Mexican-led, but it got a major boost from a crucial intelligence target package compiled by the United States. This wasn't a silver bullet, it was thousands of tiny pieces of information. This intel was built in part on months of significant U.S. aerial surveillance that helped map the CJNG's operational footprint and build a pattern of life around its key players. But the final, decisive piece didn't come from a satellite or a drone, it came from a person. On February 20th, military intelligence started tailing a trusted man connected to one of El Mencho's romantic partners. Agents watched as this man drove the woman to a remote, fortified property in the wooded highlands of Tapalpa, about 80 miles south of Guadalajara. Surveillance confirmed the two met at the compound. The woman left the next day, but intelligence was highly confident that El Mencho was still there. After a decade in the shadows, the ghost had finally given himself away. The timing was also critical. Guadalajara, Jalisco's capital, was set to co-host the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Having the world's most violent cartel leader operating just a short drive from a massive international event was a risk the Mexican government couldn't afford. President Claudia Sheinbaum's administration decided it was time to act. The trap was set. The unit tasked with capturing or killing the world's most dangerous narco was the Fuerza Especial de Reacción e Intervención, or FERI. Think of them as a Tier 1 unit within the Mexican National Guard, Mexico's equivalent of Delta Force or SEAL Team 6, trained specifically for these kinds of high-stakes, anti-cartel raids. These aren't your average soldiers. They're specialists in close-quarters combat, airborne assaults, and lightning-fast strikes. And for one man at the top of Mexico's security apparatus, this was personal. In June 2020, Omar Garcia Harfuch, then Mexico City's police chief, was ambushed in a brazen assassination attempt. Nearly 30 CJNG sicarios, armed with .50 caliber rifles and grenades, hit his armored SUV with over 400 rounds. Harfuch survived with 3 gunshot wounds, but 2 of his bodyguards and a civilian bystander were killed. From his hospital bed, Harfuch publicly pointed the finger at El Mencho. So for him, and the government he represented, the hunt for El Mencho wasn't just policy, it was payback. The hunters were ready, they were motivated, and now, they had their target. Just after 2 a.m. on February 22nd, the operation went live. 6 helicopters carrying the Fury assault force tore through the night, flying low and fast to stay off any potential radar. High above, air support circled, feeding live intel to the commanders on the ground. Within minutes, the operators were fast roping into the dense forest around the compound. They moved with practiced speed, setting a perimeter to cut off every escape route. The compound was sealed. The trap was sprung. Perimeter secure, the assault team moved on the main house. The approach was dead silent, right up until the breach. An explosive charge ripped a door from its hinges, and the operators flooded in, hitting the compound with overwhelming speed and precision. The fight was instant and brutal. El Mencho's inner security detail, caught completely by surprise, opened fire. In those first chaotic seconds, 4 of the cartel's guards were taken down. The operators cleared the main house room by room, but they had a problem. El Mencho was gone. The kingpin had slipped out during the initial breach. Using the gunfire from his guards as cover, El Mencho and his closest bodyguards escaped into the pitch-black forest surrounding the property. In a heartbeat, the raid went from a surgical strike to a desperate manhunt on El Mencho's home turf. The risk of him disappearing into the night again was huge, but the operators had an ace up their sleeve, the eye in the sky. Thermal imaging from the aircraft above became their guide, spotting a small group of heat signatures moving through the brush. On the ground, the FERI teams closed in, shrinking the pocket around the fleeing men. In a show of the cartel's heavy firepower, a CJNG gunman fired on one of the helicopters, hitting it and forcing it to make an emergency landing. 2 soldiers were wounded in the operation, but it didn't stop the hunt. Cornered, with nowhere left to run, El Mencho and his last few bodyguards made their final stand. A vicious firefight erupted in the darkness. But in a battle of training and technology, the operators had the upper hand. In that final blast of gunfire, the rest of El Mencho's security detail was killed. Nemesio El Mencho Oseguera Cervantes himself was critically wounded. The 12 minutes were over. Medics rushed to give him aid, but it was too late. The ghost had been caught, and his reign was over. This operation was years in the making, but the fallout was immediate. If this is the kind of tactical breakdown you're here for, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because you won't want to miss what happened next. The raid was a tactical success, but nobody was celebrating for long. The moment news broke that El Mencho had died from his wounds, it was like a switch was flipped across Mexico. The CJNG didn't surrender or fall apart, it exploded. What followed was a coordinated campaign of chaos, what strategists call destruction operations. They're designed to divert police, spread terror, and send a clear message about who's still in charge. Violence erupted across at least 20 Mexican states. In Jalisco, the cartel's home turf, highways were blocked with hundreds of burning cars, buses, and semi-trucks. Gunmen torched gas stations and convenience stores. In Guadalajara, panicked passengers at the airport ran for cover as the city was brought to a standstill. In the resort city of Puerto Vallarta, plumes of black smoke filled the sky, forcing international flights to be canceled and leaving tourists stranded. The message was clear and brutal: killing the king didn't kill the kingdom, it just made it angrier. So, what does it all mean? This brings us to the big debate over the kingpin strategy. The logic seems simple enough. Cut off the head of a criminal organization and the body will die. But the reality is almost always way messier. Hitting an organization like the CJNG, which operates more like a franchise network, doesn't necessarily kill it. Instead, it often creates a power vacuum, which then triggers an even more violent internal war over who takes over. The question now is who will replace El Mencho? The most likely scenario is a bloody fight for the throne. All eyes are on two potential successors. One is Juan Carlos Valencia Gonzalez, or El Tres, El Mencho's stepson, and a U.S. citizen who allegedly runs the cartel's elite assassins. The other is Ricardo Ruiz Velasco, known as El Sapo, or the Toad, a notoriously violent regional boss. A war between their factions could drag the regions under CJNG control into even worse violence than before. The death of one leader doesn't erase the demand for the drugs that made him powerful in the first place. As long as that multi-billion-dollar market exists, someone will always rise to fill the void. The worry for both Mexican and U.S. authorities is that the next leader could be even more aggressive and unpredictable than El Mencho. This war is far from over. A new, more uncertain chapter may have just begun.
The raid on February 22nd was a textbook special operation. It was guided by precise intelligence and executed by an elite force, and it succeeded where every other attempt had failed. It ended the reign of the world's most wanted narco-trafficker and handed the Mexican state a massive symbolic victory. But that victory ignited a firestorm that engulfed a nation, claimed the lives of dozens of security forces, and showed the immense power the cartels still have. The story of the 12 minutes that ended El Mencho isn't just about a successful raid. It's a stark reminder of the paradox at the heart of the war on drugs. Sometimes, cutting the head off the serpent just makes it meaner and more unpredictable. Was the tactical win worth the strategic price? Was this the beginning of the end for the CJNG, or the start of something much worse? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.